Okay, so I think we can all agree that the expansion slot cards we've seen thus far are pretty incredible. So let's go through them and discuss whether or not they're perhaps too good or just good enough, or why they have so much power and what it's going to do. So here are the expansion slot cards so far. We've got Retrace the Past, we have Enchanted Quiver, Ring of Roses, oh, my personal favorite, War Cry of Ballona, which was just spoiled, and Cull, which man, that's a piece of art. Okay, starting with Retrace the Past. This is a 0 cost, 2 attack, 3 block, blue pitch, ninja action attack, which is quite good. It is a Katsu specialization, and it has combo, so you have to meet the combo requirement in order to gain the second effect, which says when this attacks, if a card with Gust Wave in its name was the last attack this combat chain, name a card, then this gets that name, it gets +2, and it goes again. So essentially, you get to transform this into any card in the game, and it's 4 with go again. So you are, I mean, like, they could not have made this card any better if we are looking at this just from the stat line side of things. It pitches blue. It is a 0 cost. It's great for Kodachis. It is a 3 block attack, and it meets the 0 for 4 requirement when you hit combo. I mean, yes, they could have pushed it to insane degrees, but if we're playing within the boundaries of the game of Flesh and Blood, this is peak like power for a ninja attack action card. And of course, the combo side of things means you can do some very powerful, very crazy things. It, of course, re-enlivens the Descendant Gust Wave line, because that line was pretty much, I guess we'll just say it was cut off at the stump. That's the best way to say it, when Bonds of Ancestry was dead. I should be very specific. The Dishonor line was cut off at the stump because of the Bonds of Ancestry nerf, and this revives that, which is pretty cool, almost like it's retracing the past a little bit, hence the name. But it also means that all other combos are available to you if you've played out Gust Wave. So again, the combos for this, if we just pull up here, we go Gust Wave, you would have to play any of these cards in order to combo into that card, and that would include Whelming Gust Wave, which is the classic, the original, which is pretty solid. You could go Surging Strike, Whelming Gust Wave into this new card, Retrace the Past. Descendant Gust Wave, which feels quite good. In fact, Descendant Gust Wave, just really, really solid card overall. Surging Strike into Descendant Gust Wave makes this a very solid card because it's free and it goes for crazy amounts. And then, of course, you follow that up with the new card, Retrace the Past, which we can see right here. This is, again, a huge shout out to Fabrary for having all of this available so that we can talk through it so easily. Otherwise, I'd have to make slides for everything. And look, here's the thing. I make a lot of slides in my day job. I don't know if I want to make more slides when I'm talking about cards. So, Gust Wave of the Second Wind, aka the card that no one remember existed, because it was not impactful at all. And nevertheless, it is a 0 cost 4 attack that has combo. Surging Strike was the last attack that's combat chain. This gets go again, so basically it's just an extender. But the cool thing now is that it extends into Retrace the Past, which can be quite nice if you want it to. Again, all of this leads to Dishonor, which of course is looking for Bonds of Ancestry to be named. And they did say, I think Josh Scott did say, leave a comment somewhere, I think it was in Discord, saying that you can use this card to name a banned card in the form of Bonds of Ancestry, which just doesn't exist in the format anymore. So if you would like to play Dishonor, this card allows you to do it. So, I mean, like, literally, and there's some crazy weird stuff you can do with this card as well, because remember, you don't have to name a ninja card. You can name any card in the game. I won't dive too deep into any one of these cards, but I will just say that there are some weird things that you can do with that card. And that's like my favorite thing about that card, is that there's just, in addition to it just being the kind of the answer, the linchpin to fixing some of those combo lines, it also enables like the really stupid stuff that you will never do in a real game, but you will enjoy thinking about and or attempting to do. Enchanted Quiver, I would say that this one is not too, well, I should say this. Retrace the Past. Is it too powerful? No, it is not. I think this is exactly what Katsu needs to be relevant. Otherwise, there's really just no point. Now, the other thing that we need to keep in mind with Katsu is that he is going to be receiving some other ninja cards to play with in this set. But that's not to say that these cards are going to really fit in him, because some of them are looking for draconic effects or draconic cards to be played to really get value out of those, and he can't access those. So this is the type of card that really pushes him back into a place where he can compete and we can actually see Katsu again. And it has been a long time. Yes, I understand that he was sort of just in the periphery at last year's events or early this year's events, but at the same time, when was the last time you really saw Katsu in any way, shape, or form rise to prominence? So I think he's very much due a card like that. Enchanted Quiver is a ranger equipment quiver that can be, of course, equipped into the weapon zone in addition to a bow. And it says, instant destroy this. Prevent the next 1 arcane damage that would be dealt to you this turn. And if there is a face-up arrow in your arsenal, instead prevent the next 2. Because, of course, we need more arcane damage. Hate. No, but seriously, I do think that this is super good for the overall Azalea into Kano matchup. From the Azalea perspective, and I've played Azalea versus Kano a lot leading into the national season before Zen kind of broke everything in half. The Azalea versus Kano matchup was pretty common, actually, and I was playing it from the Kano side. And in that matchup, it's oftentimes just a pure race. The Ranger essentially just wants to put all the damage on the board as quickly as possible, and the Kano player is trying to find any semblance of the combo that they can put together because they know that AB is not really going to be activated. The Azalea decks of the world were not really running a ton of blues. There's not a high blue count, and so Arcane Barrier was on the equipment already, but fairly irrelevant. So an effect like this gives them a lot more ability to extend in a way that makes them feel a little bit more safe. Now, what does this mean for Kano? Well, doesn't matter. He's dead and doesn't exist right now in Classic Constructed, and there's really not much to say about him because you take away the only way that he could really kind of high roll games, and he just doesn't have the capacity to really get there in a lot of respects. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've tried it and it continues to not be really reliable in this meta. So this is a card, but that will make any wizard matchup for really any format as well. I should talk about Blitz because this would be fantastic in Blitz if you're playing Azalea. It will make all of those matchups feel better from the Ranger side of things, and that would include other Rangers like Riptide. So I think this is a very good card. Probably one that's a little less super necessary, but for Ranger players, it will feel like a welcome addition to a slot that is really not very highly used. Ring of Roses, I said it earlier, it is my favorite card that I've seen so far. It is so cool. I've been playing a good bit of Verdance in Blitz, and I really wish that I could play Arcane Verdance in CC, but because Enigma exists, I'm not sure that's super useful or super prevalent or available in the format. Nevertheless, Ring of Roses is a yellow pitch, 0 cost, 3 block aura. It is an Earth Wizard action aura, so it can only be played by Verdance. And of course, it says it is a legendary Verdance specialization, meaning that you can only put exactly 1 copy in your deck. And in doing so, you get this effect. The first time you deal arcane damage this turn, gain 1 life. Now, each turn is the very important keyword. So if you deal arcane damage on your opponent's turn, and you, of course, could do that, on the kill turn, you could deal arcane damage to your opponent. If you're somehow playing a weird build where, and I tried this, and so that's why I'm going to bring it up, you play Cindering just so that you can Waning Moon on your opponent's turn, you can gain a life, but keep in mind Verdance triggers on your own turn when she gains life to ping. So there's not this interesting, use case on your opponent's turn to sort of loop into some things. But on your turn, if you deal arcane damage, the first time you do so, you gain a life. Now keep in mind, if you've decomposed enough as Verdance, then in gaining a life, you get to deal another point of arcane damage. So this is another way to play a wizard that is clearly made to be more of a battle mage in a variant that wizard players want to engage in. I'm not saying that they don't want to play a battle mage version. I'm just saying that a wizard feels like a wizard when they deal arcane damage. I think we can all agree with that assessment. A wizard doesn't feel like a wizard when the only thing they do is throw big attacks. So there has to be some amount, from a flavor perspective, there has to be some amount of arcane damage or some amount of manipulation, some amount of conjuring, some amount of cheap tricks. I don't know if you want that reference in there, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Those types of things scratch the itch of a wizard player. This card is not one of those cards that's like super necessary, but holy crap, is it a cool card. And it's a strong card as well, because it really does extend the ability for an arcane verdance to exist. And that deck already exists in Blitz, so this is like such a welcome inclusion in that. Warcry of Ballona is the most recent card that I think we've seen spoiled. This one's really cool. It is a light warrior attack reaction, so keep that in mind. This is an attack reaction, okay? It is a yellow pitch, 0 cost, 3 block. So it hits all the things you want for a Bolton like deck, right? And it says target Raiden gets +2 this turn. So keep in mind this can't be played in like the Sabers build, but it can be played in every other Raiden from now until the game ends, because any Raiden like sword will be able to use this card. And keep in mind that you have access to this really cool secondary effect. I love the design of this card, by the way. I think this card is so well freaking designed. Instant discard this. Banish X cards from your soul. That is the cost. You have to do both things. Discard this card and banish some number of cards from your soul. When you do, the next time target weapon deals X or less damage to you this turn. So based on whatever you banish, that much damage is dealt to you. Deal that much damage to its controller, and that damage can't be prevented. So if your opponent swings just a 4 attack weapon. No, we'll do better. A Nothos is like so quintessential. If they swing a 6 attack weapon at you and it deals you, let's say you block with a card, 3 damage, you can, before that damage resolves, you can discard this, banish 3 cards from your soul, and deal them 3 damage in return. That is cool. And it can't be stopped via damage prevention effects. Now, where does this really matter? Well, there's a hero called Enigma that swings weapons that can be destroyed in the layer step if you deal damage to them, right? And they can't prevent that damage, okay? Or can just sit on a bunch of stuff and then like poke you with a bunch of... If the damage can't be prevented, the entire board falls. Very similar to what we saw with like Prism and Angels versus Vinset. This card allows Bolton players to deal with the board of an Enigma player with impunity at just about any moment. So it's as if they can't swing their auras unless they're willing to pay the price by losing their board via Warcry of Ballona. That is an awesome card. But the cool thing about this card, and the reason that like I wanted to make this video, is because of this card. The cool thing about this card is it's a Silver Bullet-esque card in that matchup, but it's also just playable in every other matchup, because keep in mind, this is an attack reaction card that can just give Raiden +2, which again, if you're swinging Raiden for 0, you can play this card on a 1-card hand and give it go again. Now, I don't know why you'd want to do that unless you had some other combo, in mind, but on a very low hand, this can set up your ability to activate Bolton, give it go again, and move on with your turn. So this has so much flexibility. I love the way that they took what is essentially a Silver Bullet card and gave it more playability into other matchups, meaning that this is not just a Poison the Well-esque card, it's an Oasis Respite, which I hate that card, but it's because it kills wizards. As far as a design perspective, I think it's a fantastic card because everyone can play it and use it on specific things. So this feels like a great Oasis Respite type card, but with even more flexibility. It's not just damage prevention, it's also aggressive. It can fit every niche, and it's the reason I wanted to make this video. Is it too powerful? Absolutely not. I think it's perfect. I really do. I'm so floored by this card, and I don't even really play Bolton. I just think it's really well designed. And finally, Cull, which is a 0-cost red pitch Shadow Runeblade action that blocks for 3, and it says you may play this from your banished zone. So if you are Chain, you can shackle this away and still play it. If you are Vinset, you can banish it at the start of your turn. And it's got blood debt, so you can just sit on it and it will ping you over time. But what it also does is this. If a hero has lost life this turn, you may play this as though it were an instant. So on your opponent's turn, if you've lost life or if they have lost life somehow, then this can be played at instant speed. And what does it do? Well, each hero banishes a card from their hand. Now keep in mind, if you don't have any cards in hand because you blocked a bunch and you took some damage, they just lose a card. Or keep in mind, if you're playing as Vinset or Chain, if you banish a card from your hand that has blood debt and can be played from your banish zone, you're not losing a card, they are. I think this card is so freaking cool, and it has so much flexibility as well because it can be played defensively, it can be played offensively. If you are pushing damage on your opponent, they take a single point of arcane damage via a rune chant, you can play this at instant speed. It doesn't have to be in your banish zone. You can just play it from your hand, and in doing so, they immediately lose another card that they want to block with. So if you're playing as Vinset and you're trying to push damage over the top, this card allows you to do that. If you are trying to prevent your hand from being destroyed, you can activate this effect, drop the card you need to play into your banish zone instead of have it removed from you. Something like a pummel or a hand disruption effect, right? That card can be, Cull, speaking of Cull, can be played in response to triggers so that you can not lose the card you need to play and you can maintain pressure or at least parity in like a turn cycle. And that is really, really cool because her Achilles heel, Vinset's Achilles heel, is that she can be put on these awkward hands via disruption that she just can't really do much with, and then the game sort of snowballs out of her control, out of her grasp. And Cull has some capacity to help her with that. So we've only seen these cards thus far in the expansion slot, but I am incredibly excited. I do not think that they're too powerful. Well, so far, I think they're just powerful enough to really take these heroes that they kind of feature to the next level. So let me know what you think about these cards in a comment below. How do you think that they're going to affect all the formats, including the Living Legend format, which we are going to be seeing this weekend up at the MinMax Games Calling Chicago? So let me know what you think in a comment below. And if you want to see more videos where we talk about cool cards, make the number go to another number. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.